like to start with what I know and then work towards what I don't know. I wanted to take the formality of the house and the informality of the woods and kind of make the two combine. I'd like to show you how not to mulch around a tree. It's a step that I see very few landscapers doing. You want to make sure to have variation in your heights. Look at how lovely this is. We just cued the butterfly to come in. How you doing today, folks? Today we're going to go ahead and spread our topsoil and then incorporate it into the beds and start working on setting the final grade in the beds. So this morning we had a topsoil delivery and I've got some really beautiful stuff behind me. And I actually have a funny story about the topsoil. The supplier I use, they usually ask me for my cell phone number, so I get this call this morning about 8 o'clock in the morning. And the fella says, you know, I'm here to deliver, is the house white? And there's a white pickup truck in the driveway. So I say, geez, I don't know what color the house is, but I don't think it's white. And I don't think they have a white pickup truck. So we talked a bit over the phone and it turned out that whether it was his GPS or something, he was a little bit confused. So eventually, you know, I said, well, can you tell me where you are? And he said he was on the corner of these two streets. So I say, well, can you just do me a favor? Look up the street, look on the right-hand side, and do you see a plant coming out of the sewer, you know? And he goes, yeah, I do. So I say, well, walk up another couple houses and you should see it on the right. And then I had my landmarks. One of my landmarks was this row of arborvitae behind me, and then also was just the driveways, a fairly unique driveway here. So it all worked out, but the moral of the story is when you're arranging for a topsoil delivery or material delivery, you can never really be too specific about where the house is or what the house looks like or what the mailbox looks like, because the fellas that drive the truck, they're very smart people, but you're driving a truck, you're in a new neighborhood, they're not as familiar with it as you are, and it can be a little tricky sometimes. So what I do sometimes, if I'm delivering materials on the grass, I'll actually take the paint gun and I'll actually put a big X in the name of the supplier so they know this is the spot. Now today I asked them to deliver the soil on the driveway, and I probably should have brought like a cone or something and left a cone on the driveway so they knew where to deliver. The easier you can make it for the delivery guys, the better. It really would have been a very uncomfortable day. I can't even find a white house on the block, to be honest. So that would have been not good for the supplier and not good for me to try to move all that material. And I'm pretty sure if you woke up and had a load of soil on your driveway, you wouldn't be happy. Moving forward, we're going to go ahead and fire up the dingo. I'm going to put some grease on the dingo. Usually you want to grease your machines, every 8 hours or every day. So we're going to go ahead and grease the dingo, come back, and I'm going to spread maybe 2 to 3 inches of the soil we've got here in the beds, and then I'll run it over with the tiller one more time, because what we want to do is we want to mix the new soil with the old soil. You want to avoid something called the bathtub effect. Now the bathtub effect is when you have one type of soil and then you add a different type of soil. And because of the change in the soil textures, what happens is sometimes the water won't flow down from one texture to the next. Like if you've got a very clay soil into a very sandy soil, they're not going to mix. So what you want to do is you want to bring that tiller in, mix the two types of soil up so that there's no huge difference in the soil. And also when you put the plants in, if you've got this like really nice soil and then you've got this really not nice soil, the roots of the plants are never going to want to move out into the good, the native soil, because it's so nice. So it's like the plants are growing in a bathtub. I do just want to talk a little bit about topsoil. Just because somebody calls it topsoil, loam, farm loam, it doesn't mean it's good soil. You really need to get out there and take a look at the soil before you arrange for delivery, or make sure you're ordering from a trusted supplier. Ask around. The supplier I'm using here, I'm working out of my normal area, so I asked my regular supplier to take a drive out here and deliver this. I know my supplier's quality, so rather than ordering something locally, which I don't know what I'm getting, it was better for me to just have it delivered by my regular supplier. They take soil, 2/3 soil, and they mix it with 1/3 compost. So it's a really nice mix. Quite often in the olden days, you can order compost now. There's places that finish compost. If your soil's really poor, what you would do is go ahead and mix in compost first, and then put your good topsoil on top. My topsoil supplier, the soil is so organic that I'm quite comfortable using this soil as my amendment, mixing it in with what's there, and then planting right into it. I just want to touch on, how do you know what good topsoil looks like? Well, you really, it's not the color. It doesn't have to be, black or deep brown to be good. In a perfect world, if you pick up a scoop of the soil and sniff it, it should have an earthy smell. It should smell good. Quite often what can happen is if you've got a pile of soil that's really large and they start scooping deep into the pile, there's going to be this nasty smell inside. You want your soil to be aerobic, which means it's got oxygen. When things go anaerobic without oxygen, the smell, it's got this nasty, ugly smell. Even if it says in the ad or the person you call, it's farm loam, it's screen loam, you really need to see soil to know if it's good or not. There's very few suppliers I buy topsoil from. It's extremely short list because I need to know they've got a quality product all the time. Now, where we're working today is actually out of my normal zone of where I work, and I asked my supplier to deliver this material. I had to pay a little bit more for delivery, but I know what I'm getting is a quality product. And it's good, when I'm buying topsoil, I want there to be organic matter in there. I want to see preferably broken down leaf compost, some sticks. You want it to have some organic matter in there. I'd also prefer my topsoil not to have a lot of rock in it. It's just easier to work with. So, the best thing to do is to ask around and find somebody who's a good supplier. I will never, one time when I was in high school, my father ordered screen topsoil from some guy in the paper, and the stuff that came to the house was just really nasty stuff. And ever since that, I always make sure I go see it before I order it. Just be careful with what you order.